Can we have like
Hi.
a class for Russian bots on how to like spell?
Well, they can spell.
Well, no, they spell. It's
like they're speaking sarcasm.
Oh, hey, yo, sister.
All right. Hi, everyone. Hi,
think,
Mikey.
Do you think maybe it's probably the yups and
probably?
Yeah, they're trying to act like Russian bots.
Probably. Calvin says, "Howdy, y'all. Everything out here is all shiny from the ice."
Yeah, we're going up to the mountains tomorrow, and it's supposed to. Our mountains are supposed to be covered in snow, and it's
25
degrees at the highest. So,
hey, Alan. Long time no see.
Hi, Alan.
And by the way, I actually found a mold for a toaster bath bomb. I'll let you know when I get it.
I toaster strudel someone once. Wait, what?
What? Yeah. Wait, what picture? Which picture?
I saw the picture you sent. Which one? What did I send something?
And Siren! Hey! If you guys haven't got the chance, go check this chick out. She's awesome. And also, Monday,
yeah, we can announce it. Monday,
we are going to be interviewing her again, and we're going to hopefully show a new video. If not, we're going to show some videos anyway.
Hopefully show nudity. If you guys want to do that.
I didn't say nudity. I said video.
If you guys want to do that, that's your
business. Videos. Hey, Zool.
Hey, Zool. What's going on, man?
How's it going? Oh, Calvin sent a pic of the ice.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, what? What picture?
The Accidentally Awesome group?
Yeah.
The one where
Frank accidentally made a group.
I literally actually made this group. I don't know how I did it. I was like trying to send some videos out to Calvin and a couple other people and Kisa and all them and I thought it was sending out individually and then it made a group. So we have an Accidentally Awesome group.
Our Russian bot left.
Did he?
Yeah.
She? Maybe it? I don't know.
I don't know. Our Russian bot left.
Does software have genders?
I didn't say she or he.
I'm curious. Would software have genders? Because in the Matrix they do.
Anyway.
I'm just saying. And
I don't have an answer for you.
I freaking love the Matrix.
Let's get into this. We're 5 minutes in and haven't even started talking about it.
This is going to be a long one. We got to get through this tonight because we have on Friday when we're I know
if we get up there,
if we get up
Carla there. Or if we can get the stuff.
Carla Homolka.
Okay, I'll message him later. What? Jake wanted to get in and he can't click on the link for some reason. The link I sent everybody for our show is not opening.
Oh, well, tell him to just go to Psychomantium.
I'm not going to say anything.
Yep.
Okay, so...
All right, we got to get into this. We got to do this.
Go to Psychomantium. Okay, there we go. I did it. So, let's get into this. We left off when we're starting to talk about his murder spree. So, William Bonin usually selected young male hitchhikers, schoolboys, or occasionally the male prostitute as his victims. The victims ranged between the ages of 12 and 19 and were predominantly slender, fair-skinned young men with long hair whom he either enticed or forced into his Ford Ecoline van.
Yeah. Yep.
This is German for no more sex in the kitchen.
Oh, yeah. I keep telling me to Google that. I was like, wait, what? Oh, yeah. I was like, yeah, let me Google that. I was laughing. Hey!
Jake!
You figured it out, Jake. I just logged in. Well, duh.
All right. So, is this about me? Yes, this is all about you.
Well, he abducted young men.
Anyway, let's do this.
He lured his guys into his van.
Well, so he would either entice them or force them into the Ecoline van, where they were overpowered, bound in handcuffs on their feet and their wrists. And it was either handcuffs, wire, cords, but they were bound.
Yeah.
They were then sexually assaulted, extensively beaten all over the face, head, and genitals, and tortured before typically being killed by strangulation with their own t-shirts, although some victims were stabbed or beat to death.
Mm-hmm.
I figure this is probably a good time for me to say, we need a trigger warning.
Oh, yeah.
So, you guys, this content is going to be pretty brutal, so trigger warning, explicit content.
You know, the shitty thing is that we should...
Also...
Oh, yeah.
Under the fair use, another author may make limited use of the original author's work without asking permission pursuant to 17 U.S. Code 107. Certain uses of copyrighted material for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, including multiple copies for classroom use, scholarship, or research, is not an infringement of copyright. So take that, Zuckerdouche. And this video contains super awesome content not suitable for people who don't enjoy super awesomeness. Viewer discretion is advised.
The super awesomeness is not the murders and rapes. It's just us making fun of the serial killer.
He lured guys into his van.
Dun, dun, dun.
Is this about me?
Yes.
Sorry, Dutch. Sorry, it was not German. It was Dutch. I don't speak either. So, one victim in particular, Darren Kendrick, was forced to drink hydrochloric acid. Lovely, right?
Yeah.
And another victim, Mark Shelton, died of shock. According to one attorney present throughout Bonin's subsequent confessions, the escalating levels of brutality he had exhibited towards his victims had been similar to that of a drug addict, requiring an ever greater increase of dosage to attain a satisfactory level of euphoria. Bonin himself later emphasized to neurologists that he had felt an intense sense of excitement as he searched for his victims. In order to minimize the chances of a potential victim escaping from his vehicle, Bonin removed all inner handles from the passenger side and rear doors of his van and stowed ligatures, knives, household tools, other instruments in his vehicle to facilitate the restraining and torture of his victims. The victims were usually killed inside his van before their bodies were discarded along or close to various freeways in Southern California. In a minimum of 12 of the murders, Bonin, who considered murder a group sport, was assisted by one or more of his 4 known accomplices. Hey, Dizzy!
Oh, yeah. Go vote.
Yes. Sorry.
Vote Nightmare Clowns in the SAS. And Dizzy will be up this week.
So Sykes is in Group B right now on scurryface.com. And you can vote 4 times a day per person, but no more than that.
Per URL.
Per IP.
IP, sorry.
Per person per day.
Yep.
Okay. Per person per day, not like 4 times total ever. But
hey, Angie.
Hey, Angie.
What's going on?
All right. So let's get back on this. First murder and initial arrest. The first murder for which Bonin was charged was that of a 13-year-old named Thomas Glenn Lundgren. Lundgren was last seen leaving his parents' house in Reseda at 10:50 a.m. I wonder if he knew the Karate Kid.
Was he? That was not Reseda. I thought he was.
That is Reseda.
No, I thought it was in. I thought the Karate Kid. Oh, the Cobra Kai is in Encino, and so was the
Reseda.
I thought Encino.
Reseda. They're in Reseda.
You're in Reseda.
Anyway, so leaving his parents' house in Reseda at 10:50 a.m. on May 28th, 1979. Shortly before his abduction, Lundgren had reportedly told his friends a man had offered to meet him at a skate park to take photos of him for a skateboarding magazine. His body, clad only in a t-shirt, shoes, and socks, was found the same afternoon in Agora. An autopsy revealed that Lundgren had suffered emasculation and bludgeoning to his face and head, with his skull sustaining multiple fractures. In addition, the young man had been slashed across the throat, extensively stabbed, and then strangled to death. His underwear, jeans, and severed genitalia were discovered strewn in a field close to his body. In the abduction and murder of Lundgren, Bonin was assisted by Butts. That's his last name, Butts. Yep. Who is suspected of accompanying or assisting Bonin on at least 8 more murders that were attributed to the Freeway Killer.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Sandy!
Hi, Sandy! Yeah, Dizzy's up next week.
Yes!
They're all picked next week for whatever is what they were saying at the Tyler was saying last Sunday. So.
I'm assuming you mean it's fucking cold.
Yeah. I love the cold, Zool. It's like
I'm excited.
I'm happy to get up into the mountains.
We were supposed to do this for Christmas, but it didn't happen. All right, so in mid 1979, Bonin was again arrested for molesting a 17-year-old boy on the coastal community of Dana Point, which is not that far from where my dad was. This violation of the conditions of his parole should have resulted in Bonin being returned to prison. However, an administrative error committed prior to Bonin's scheduled court date resulted in his release.
Isn't that how it always goes?
Yeah, right.
Like some of the worst killers ever. Like I was listening to more stuff on Richard Ramirez because he's really fascinating. Like listening stuff on him. And one of the podcasts I was listening to on him. I want to say it was like the serial killers podcast. They were saying one of the victims, one of the first victims, had a shotgun, had it pointed at him, and their grandparents, they had their grandkids over the couple days prior, so they took the shells out of the shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
She had it pointed at him, dead to rights, and pulled the trigger and click. If there was a shell in that shotgun, goes, it's pointed right at his chest, Richard Ramirez would not have killed as many people as he did.
I need a white van that says free kettle corn. I want a white van that says free candy.
I want a white van so I can go live down by the river.
Hey Joey.
Well, Joey, but he's in here as he's Michael Joseph right here. So
That's always
I know
his name.
Michael Joseph.
15. Ouch.
Nice. Yeah, we're going this tomorrow night. As soon as I get off work tomorrow, as soon as Liz and me are done. Because we're like independent contractors and stuff. As soon as we're done tomorrow around noon, we're heading up to the mountains, and it's supposed to be like 20 degrees.
All right, so we're gonna get into the Freeway Killer murders. So 2 months after the murder of Lundgren on August 4th, 1979, Bonin and Butts abducted a 17-year-old named Mark Shelton. Shortly after he left. Oh, excuse me, I totally skipped a whole part. Guys, let's try this again.
First, where are we at?
So what I wanted to mention here was actually, there's that administrative error that kept him, released, basically. So he was actually in the Orange County jail for a little while, and he got picked up by Frazier, who was his parole officer, I believe.
So
Frazier drove to go pick him up from the Orange County jail. And he later recalls that as he was driving Bonin home, Bonin made a statement that Frazier had originally interpreted as an expression of remorse, but later he learned it was not. So the quote was, "No one's going to testify again. This is never going to happen to me again."
This is what happens. I mean, basically, if you are a serial rapist, I'm not saying people are serial rapists, but if the vast majority of serial rapists end up becoming murderers because they don't want to be caught. They usually go through like a bad stint where they got caught, and then they realize when they get to jail, either they become friends like Kemper did and start learning, and like Bonin did here. He didn't want to go back to jail one bit, so he's like, you know what? No body, no victim, no trial.
Yeah. All right. So getting back into what I had said earlier, 2 months after the murder of Lundgren on August 4th, 1979, Bonin and Butts abducted a 17-year-old named Mark Shelton shortly after he left his house in Westminster to walk to a movie theater that was on Beach Boulevard. So screams were heard from the vicinity of the Shelton household by neighbors, leaving a strong possibility that Shelton was abducted by force.
The crazy thing about Los Angeles is that's actually kind of rare for
Orange
them.
County.
Or Orange County, or the area. Whereas New York at the time in the 70s and 80s, whenever they heard someone screaming, there was actually a huge case over this where a woman got raped in New York, and people had a chance to come down there and help, and they literally just turned a blind eye to it. Los Angeles and Orange County are kind of opposite. When they hear stuff, people kind of do come. They will call cops and stuff like that.
Not LA. Orange County, yes.
Yes.
LA, no.
I just
Mark Shelton was violated with foreign objects, including a pool cue, causing his body to enter a state of shock, which is how he died. He was killed from shock. His body was then discarded in San Bernardino County. So the following day, Bonin and Butts encountered another 17-year-old. He was a West German exchange student named Marcus Grabs. He was attempting to hitchhike down PCH, which is Pacific Coast Highway. Grabs was bound with lengths of cord and ignition wire and driven to Bonin's home, where he was sodomized, beaten, and stabbed 77 times.
Wow.
Before his naked body was discarded in Malibu Creek. Close to Las Virgenes County Road. So, yeah.
The
really into Malibu.
Oh, no problem, Dizzy. He said he'll be back.
No worries. Thank you.
No problem, man.
You're awesome. So his body was found the following morning, with one investigator likening the network of injuries inflicted upon the victim to that of a rabid dog unable to determine when to stop biting.
Everything that he's doing here shows that it's completely personal. Like every aspect of his crimes, it really shows that he is still just stuck in when he was, molested by his grandparents or his grandfather, and his father, and then like basically like molested in the system and stuff like that. This is
grandfather.
No, it was a system too.
No, I mean not his father.
Oh no, yeah, I'm sorry, grandfather. But and then like trying to take back power from his father who beat him constantly. This is all signs of that. And that's where the 77 stab wounds comes from and everything like that, where he's just making it personal, like just trying to get back something.
This is like berserk mode, because now this is August 27th, which is just not even that long after the last two. So on August 27th, Bonin and Butts abducted a 15-year-old from Hollywood named Donald Ray Hayden. Hayden was last seen alive walking along Santa Monica Boulevard at 1 a.m. His body was found by construction workers later the same morning in a dumpster located near the off-ramp of the Ventura Freeway. Prior to his death by ligature strangulation, Hayden had been bound, beaten all over his face, sodomized, stabbed in the neck and genitalia, and bludgeoned all around his skull. So hit in the head multiple times. Evident attempts had also been made to remove his testicles and slash his throat.
Wait, he tried to remove them?
Apparently he didn't successfully remove them.
Wow.
Hi, Iris. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Iris.
Just to let you know, this is a brutal subject, so we understand if people cannot hang on this one.
Yeah, it's pretty bad in this one.
Yeah. So, 2 weeks after the Hayden murder on September 9th, Bonin and Butts encountered a 17-year-old La Mirada boy named David Lewis Murillo. He was bicycling to a movie theater. Murillo was lured into Bonin's van, where he was bound, repeatedly raped, extensively bludgeoned in the head with a tire iron, then strangled with a ligature before his naked body was thrown over an embankment into a bed of ivy along the 101 freeway.
Almost fell.
8 days after this murder, on September 17th, an 18-year-old Newport Beach young man named Robert Christopher Wierostek was abducted as he biked to his job at the grocery store. His body was found on September 27th near I-10, actually. So Bonin is not known to have killed again until somewhere around November 1st, when he and Butts abducted and murdered an unidentified young man, approximately 5'10" in height, and estimated to be somewhere between 19 and 25 years old. So this victim was savagely beaten, then strangled to death before his body was discarded in an irrigation ditch by the 99 freeway. Here.
Oh, so that means he actually came into Kern County.
Yeah, it was right here, just barely south of Bakersfield.
Yeah.
So he was never identified, but Bonin later estimated that he was around 23 and freely admitted to inserting an ice pick into his nostrils and ears prior to the murder.
I think I know the area where he was dumped because the ditch is by like a gigantic freaking eucalyptus tree where we used to go party by the side of the freeway.
Yeah.
So it's still pretty rural out there.
So about a month later, Bonin by himself abducted a 17-year-old Bellflower boy named Frank Dennis Fox. His body was found 2 days later along Ortega Highway, 5 miles east of San Juan Capistrano. The body itself bore signs of extensive blunt force trauma to the face and the head, with ligature marks on the wrists and ankles indicating Fox had been bound throughout his entire ordeal. No clothing or other identifying evidence was discovered at the scene. 10 days after the murder of Fox, a 15-year-old Long Beach young man named John Frederick Kilpatrick disappeared after leaving his parents' home to socialize with some friends. Kilpatrick was strangled to death before his body was discarded in a remote area in Rialto. His body was found on December 13th. Kilpatrick remained unknown as a Jane Doe until August 5th, 1980. And on January 1st, 1980, Bonin brutalized and strangled a 16-year-old Ontario young boy named Michael Francis McDonald. His fully clothed body was found alongside Highway 71 in western San Bernardino County 2 days after his murder, although his body was not identified until March 24th.
Jake said, we're near the sump where we used to go. Yeah, no, that sump was actually out. The pond was actually out by my old house in the fields. This was actually, because that would be closer to the 5. The 99 and the 5 split off in Kern County. Mm-hmm. But Jake, it's actually closer to Greenfield, if you remember where Greenfield is. And Greenfield is south of Bakersfield.
Oh, so the one right over here.
Yeah, just way that way.
Oh,
we went out there because we found out. Hey, Beth. We went out there because we heard about this, and I didn't know anything about it at the time. I was a kid, like 19 or something like that. And they're like, hey, someone's body was found out here in like 1979, 1980. And I was like, okay, cool. Let's go hang out there. And it was just eerie as fuck. And it was literally right off the freeway, like right off the 99.
Yeah. All right. So the participation of Gregory Miley. On February 3rd, Bonin drove from Downey to Hollywood in the company of 18-year-old Gregory Miley with a specific intention of committing another murder. The pair encountered a 15-year-old
fuck, man,
named Charles Miranda standing close to the Starwood nightclub, hitchhiking down Santa Monica Boulevard. According to Miley, Bonin and Miranda engaged in consensual sex in the rear of the van as he drove, before Bonin then whispered to Miley, "Kid's going to die." Miranda was then overpowered by Bonin, who then asked him how much money he had in his possession. When Miranda responded that he had only $6, Bonin ordered Miley to take his wallet before beating Miranda to death and knocking him out. Miranda was then bound and gagged by Bonin, who proceeded to sexually assault him. Miley also attempted to rape him, but was unable to sustain an erection in the process. So, in frustration, Miley assaulted Miranda with various sharp objects before assisting Bonin in beating him. Bonin then strangled Miranda to death with his own t-shirt and a tire iron as Miley repeatedly jumped on Miranda's chest. His naked body was then dumped in an alleyway alongside East 2nd Street in LA.
So, two things here. One, Albert Fish, it was hard to get through that one because he actually went after little kids.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like one of those relief things where like, oh good, it was just a 15-year-old. But then you think you're like, fuck, it was a 15-year-old.
Yeah.
But definitely. At the same time, if you think about how he did this, and I hate to bring this up, and because we're already getting graphic here, Bonin literally had him between his legs with his head basically against his crotch and strangling him on his neck. Mm-hmm. With his like this, and then his accomplice was jumping on his chest.
Yeah, his head was facing outward.
His head was laying up on his lap on his crotch,
but facing outward.
Yeah,
and then Miley was jumping on his chest.
Yeah, it's Jesus Christ, man.
We're
These
doing
guys are
great.
Just terrible.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, we're great.
Awesome.
Yay!
I'm glad you're back. Thank you.
Excuse me.
So let's get into this a little bit more. So 5 minutes after they discarded Charles Miranda's body, Bonin turned to Miley and said, "I'm horny again. Let's go and do another one." So a few hours later in Huntington Beach, they encountered a 12-year-old named James Maccabee at a bus stop on the corner of Beach Boulevard and Slater Avenue. Maccabee was lured into Bonin's van in the promise that he would be driven to his intended destination of Disneyland. According to Miley, the boy entered the rear of the van voluntarily as Bonin drove to a grocery store parking lot where they parked the van
So this is all
and
happening
entered the
during the
rear
day.
of the vehicle. Miley then drove in an aimless manner for what he later described as a very, very long distance. As he drove, Miley continually heard Maccabee crying as Bonin beat and raped him before forcing the boy to sleep in his arms. Miley then joined Bonin in beating the child and crushing his neck with a tire iron simply because he felt like it. Bonin then strangled Maccabee to death with his own t-shirt before the pair discarded his fully clothed but beaten body alongside a dumpster in the city of Walnut. Maccabee's body was discovered 3 days later.
I'm laughing at what Dizzy said. I'm
What?
sorry. Hell, I'm lucky at my age if I'm ready for round 2 after an hour.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh, wow. Couldn't be a cop. I'd shoot someone in the head for that shit. Absolutely.
There was a lot of cops at this time who actually
Did.
No, they actually retired early because of everything that was going on in California, from from Kemper to this Ramirez,
and like it was them. It was the original Night Stalker, and then it was Richard Ramirez.
the two cops who were taking on Richard Ramirez, and the one who was really silent.
Yeah,
and it was like, you can't take this stuff home. And the Hispanic cop, I can't think of his name. He's an awesome cop. He's still doing it to this day.
Mm-hmm.
He was losing his mind because of how brutal Richard Ramirez was, and he couldn't be around his family at the time because he was seeing all of it. And every time something happened, he thought Richard Ramirez was about to come into his house and do it to his family.
It wasn't just because Richard Ramirez, though. There was Joseph D'Angelo at the time, and then you had like Hillside Stranglers back to back with all these guys, and Rodney Alcala, and then Richard Ramirez, and who else? The other Freeway Killer.
Oh, I can't think of his name. There's
the I-5 Strangler.
Well, there's
the other I-5 Killer.
Well, Bonin's going on. There's a Freeway Killer couple.
Yeah.
I can't think of their names right now, but it was a man, and it was obviously man and chick, and they were abducting sex workers and stuff like that, and just doing practically the same stuff.
So that was
this was in 1980.
That's the wrong one.
That's the wrong one.
Oh my god. Sorry, the one that I found just now. Oh no, that was the little boy that my dad used to teach the school. That was shot through the car.
But this was it was the same thing. It was 1979, 1981. There you go.
That's not it.
No.
Anyway, we'll figure it out later.
We'll figure it out. But there was another couple going along and doing the same stuff at the exact same time with sex workers, with female sex workers.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to be a police officer. Just think of the PTSD that they had to go through. Absolutely. That's
one thing. And not to get into stuff like this, I was like, do you guys realize when you have the ACAB people, it's like you realize the shit that police officers see.
Yeah.
The stuff they actually experience, and they keep a lot of people from seeing because they're taking care of business. Yeah, they mess up.
I'm glad my uncle wasn't well known.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so let's get back in this. So, on February 4th, Bonin was arrested for violating the conditions of his parole. He was remanded into custody at the Orange County Jail until March 4th. So, subsequent killings. 10 days after Bonin was released from custody, which would be... He was released on March 4th. So on March 14th, he abducted and killed an 18-year-old Van Nuys kid named Ronald Gatlin. Gatlin was abducted shortly after he had left his friend's home. He was beaten, sodomized, and suffered several deep, perforating ice pick wounds to the ear and neck before being strangled with a ligature. His body his body was bound at the hands and the feet.
He was Hawkeye.
He wasn't. It was just like this and his feet down. He was found the following day in Duarte. So 1 week later, on March 21st, Bonin lured a 14-year-old kid named Glenn Barker into his van as he was trying to hitchhike to school. Barker was raped, beaten, and strangled to death with ligature. His body bore evidence of numerous burns to the neck, which had been inflicted with a lit cigarette. In addition, Barker had been violated with foreign objects and had extensively distended his rectum. So at 4 p.m. the same day, a 15-year-old named Russell Rue was abducted from a bus stop in Garden Grove. Rue was bound, beaten, and strangled to death after an estimated 8 hours of captivity before his body was discarded along with that of Barker's. So both kids were discarded in Cleveland National Forest, and they were both naked, and they were found on March 23rd.
The crazy thing is that, like, I when I'm driving around for work and stuff like that, like, you see a lot of kids getting out for school, and you're like, dude, how are you letting your kids walk like this? I get it. Both parents are working and stuff like that, but I don't know. I see this was like, there is no way, absolutely no way I would let my kids walk home.
I did all that.
We both did it, and we didn't think about it. But now that we're together and we're thinking about having kids or trying to have kids or whatnot, and like, it's like the first thing that comes to my head, my kids will never walk to school by themselves, and they will never walk home by themselves. This ain't happening. I will make sure they get home.
Oh, we got to go to commercial.
Oh, yeah.
And then we'll get into William Poe.
Poe, yeah. P-U-G-H.
Okay. Yeah. All right, we'll be right back, guys. If I can find this. Give me a second.
We always do this. I always do it, too.
There we go. We'll be right back.
This is Mikey from Out of the Ordinary, and you're watching PBDC TV.
First thing in the morning, when I'm listening to music and getting a little bit of time for some creepy research, I'm always representing with my PBDC merch. what a better way to have a cup of coffee in the morning.
Don't forget to check out our other cool merch at rootsbleedred.com. That's rootsbleedred.com.
This is Professor Edgar Fluffosaurus from Spooky Tales with Steve the Cat, and when I'm not hosting Monster Chat or knocking down small Japanese cities, I'm watching PBDC TV. Now back to the show.
Guys, if you want to summon Odd Mama, you just gotta, you gotta buy your PBDC merch, like you gotta buy your Psycho Bunny Death Cult mug. You fill it full of coffee.
It has to be coffee. Good
black,
coffee.
dark
strong
coffee, and then you say your chant, and she will appear in your room. But you have to make sure you buy your.
It's Mecca like a high, Mecca like a high
Oh,
ho.
that's Pee Wee. You got to make sure you buy your PBDC merch, and that's how you. And you want to if you want to summon a call on Hexus, you got to make sure you buy your Roots Bleed Red merch and stuff like that. And then you spin around in a circle or something like that while wearing our shirts, and then a Hexus and a call will appear.
Can you fill it with Rasputin?
Rasputin. I can't remember.
Why
the
did
rest
you?
of the lyrics.
Why with the R rolling? Why?
Because if you're gonna be Russian, you have to roll your R's, comrades. I rolled my R with a comrade.
Rasputin, lover of the.
Oh, happy birthday, Mark! I forgot. Yeah, we said your Russian penis. Russian.
He didn't know. He didn't know. He didn't know it was in the video.
I'm sorry. It wasn't. It was Rasputin's.
He doesn't know.
Oh, he doesn't know.
He never
yet.
spotted it.
He never spotted it. We got to send you the video we made for your birthday. I thought we did.
Oh, what the hell? You got flagged for a comment?
What?
That damn voodoo curse.
Freaking goddamn voodoo curse. Man.
All I gotta do is fill a coffee mug and yell, "Ma!"
Yeah, you fill a coffee mug that you bought from Psycho Bunny Death Cult. That
No,
preferably
you can say that one that's Gambini's phrase. Yeah, I know.
Preferably the Zodiac one. I totally. You know how many times we have sent him Rasputin's penis? Sorry,
I'm
Mark.
sorry, Mark.
I didn't know you didn't know, and then also the minute I knew you didn't know, I was like, "Here, check this out. It's in a museum." It's not really his, but it
Y'all
is.
need your own coffee. I wish.
Oh God, I love coffee.
Although
so
I might
much.
do tea, to be honest.
I drink coffee all the time.
I
I drink anything brewed.
That is one of your hairs.
Beer, tea.
That is one of your hairs.
I drink anything brewed. Beer, tea, or coffee.
All right.
We
Let's
gotta
get back
through
into this. This is difficult. So, the encounter with William Poe. One Friday evening on March 1980, Bonin offered 17-year-old William Ray Poe a ride home as the pair left Fraser's residence. Within minutes of accepting the ride, Bonin asked Poe whether he would like to engage in sex with him. And Poe later stated he panicked and stuttered upon hearing this question. After sitting in silence for several minutes, attempting to leave the vehicle once Bonin had slowed the van at a stoplight. In response, Bonin wordlessly leaned across and grabbed him by the collar, dragging him back into the passenger seat. According to Poe, Bonin then confided in him that he enjoyed abducting young male hitchhikers on Friday and Saturday nights, whom he then restrained and abused before strangling them to death with their own t-shirts. Later, in a matter-of-fact tone, Bonin then informed him, if you want to kill someone, you should make a plan and find a place to dump the body before you pick the victim. Bonin then informed Poe he had not chosen to refrain from assaulting and killing him out of sentiment. He'd been spared because the pair had been seen leaving the party together. Poe was driven to his home without being assaulted.
Wait, what?
What?
He didn't kill Poe?
No.
He just was like...
He became... Poe's one of the ones that became an accomplice.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I forgot. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Disney's going to have a hot sauce, and I was reading that real fast. I was like, I want a hot sauce from Disney. This is going to be awesome.
I love tea. I'm a tea granny. I can't help it.
I like tea, too. I made some good bomb-ass iced tea tonight. I don't mind tea, you know, like I'm not okay. Look, clearly I'm not Southern at all. I do not like sweet tea, Southern sweet tea. My tea, like if I make an iced tea, it's got a little bit of sugar in it, and that's it. I like my tea. I like my tea with no sugar.
Hey, Dizzy, if it's not too much to ask, hook us up with that company. Maybe we can get some too.
Hey, if it's not too much to ask, we'll totally buy your hot sauce off you.
We are so buying the hot sauce no matter what.
Yeah, I will.
I
Totally
was just
buy the
saying a hot sauce with us too would be fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Make a Hexas one and a Ka one, or just Texas and a Ka. Anyway, so the murder of Harry Turner. On March 24th, Bonin and Poe abducted a 15-year-old runaway named Harry Todd Turner from a Los Angeles street. Turner had absconded from a boys' home in the desert community of Lancaster 4 days prior to meeting up with Bonin and Poe. Pug was...
Hi, Nadine!
Hey, Nadine!
Sorry.
Pug was later to testify that he and Bonin lured Turner into Bonin's van with an offer of $20 for sex. So I'm not gay, but $20 is $20.
Fucking Mikey.
Ass bleeds red.
Liz and Frank, y'all can call.
Hold on.
Hi, Nadine. Y'all can call your hot sauce ass bleeds red. Oh my god.
If we do this though, it's not going to be Chipotle.
No, yeah, I'm not a big fan of Chipotle.
And no, I love Chipotle, but
no, you're dead.
It's going to be. That's Chipotle the location.
Oh,
not Chipotle
you're dead.
The
ruined
food?
Me on Chipotle. I can't eat
That's
it anymore.
not Chipotle peppers.
I know it's not Chipotle peppers, but Chipotle the fast food or whatever place or
But
Subway Mexican place, I am ruined on it.
Anyway, what I was going to say is we would have to use boot Jalokia in that.
So
it's a butt burner.
Quick story, real fast. Every time we hang out with Liz's dad, every single time we hang out.
I do some pretty sketchy shit for $10.
Every time we hang out with you, we visit with your dad. It's always Chipotle, always.
Definitely.
No matter where it's at. The last time we were down in Huntington to meet up with your dad, he specifically picked the hotel room because it was right by a Chipotle.
So, Poe was later to testify that he and Bonin lured Turner into Bonin's van with an offer of $20 for sex. After binding, sodomizing, and biting him, Bonin ordered Poe to beat him up. After Poe had bludgeoned and beat Turner all around the head and the body several times, Bonin strangled him to death with his own t-shirt, discarding his body at the rear delivery door of a Los Angeles business. Turner's autopsy subsequently revealed that his genitals had been mutilated. Okay, that took an autopsy?
Well, the autopsy was examining everything. They obviously could clearly tell that at the scene.
Yeah, and he had received a total of 8 fractures to the skull inflicted by blunt force trauma before he was strangled.
You know, one of the things I can say this about Edmund Kemper.
Worse, blurry. Okay.
Edmund Kemper is the sociopath. Like that is the epitome. He is the epitome of a sociopath, right? But at the same time, he didn't exactly have remorse, but he knew where his rage was coming from, which was his mother, and no one deserved to die at all. The way Kemper did it, but the minute Kemper was done, he did his thing. He called the cops up. Was like, "Hey, take me to jail." And there's still like a speck of humanity in Kemper. There's like a small speck of humanity in Kemper. In Bonin, there is no humanity left. None. I mean, regardless whether he has, he does have head trauma and stuff like that, and lesions on his frontal, or he did have lesions on his frontal lobe. But at the same time, it's still there's no humanity there. It's just everything. He has a group of guys that he can run around with and they can do BDSM with, and he doesn't have to do any of this stuff.
Yeah,
he has all that, but they want to keep killing. You know.
Yeah, he said that in here that he got popped for some comment, but he was able to comment right after. So
I don't know. Bots or trolls. One of the two.
Probably trolls.
We have
a few trolls.
Troll-blooded!
Specifically the red slutty kind. So
Oh God. Here it comes.
They're talking about me.
How dare you, you fucking narcissist! Everyone's a narcissist. Everyone, according to them,
And a
is a narcissist.
sociopath. And
You're a sociopath.
I'm
and
a
narcissist.
see you next Tuesday.
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
what about being a cop? What the hell?
Kisa!
It's the skunt. It's the skunt.
Yeah. Kisa, what's going on? Hi, Flan. Hi, Flan. All right, we need.
Lame sauce.
Yeah.
All he was saying is that they have PTSD and he wouldn't be able to. Anyway. So on the afternoon of April 10th, Bonin abducted a 16-year-old Bellflower young man named Stephen John Wood as he was walking to school. Having attended a dental appointment that morning, his nude. What? I typed this rude. Okay. Having attended a dental appointment that morning. Okay.
So he went to the dentist that morning.
He was walking to school after being at the dentist appointment. So his nude and extensively beaten body was discarded in an alleyway in Long Beach, close to the PCH. No clothing or other identifying evidence was discovered at the scene. Woods' autopsy revealed that he had been killed by ligature strangulation. 3 weeks later, on April 29th, while parked on the grounds of a Stanton supermarket, Bonin and Butts lured a 19-year-old employee named Darren Kendrick to Bonin's van on the pretext of selling him drugs. Kendrick was driven to Butts' apartment, where he was overpowered and bound by both men. In addition to enduring sodomy and partial ligature strangulation, Kendrick was forced to drink hydrochloric acid by Bonin, causing caustic chemical burns to his mouth, chin, stomach, and chest. Butts then drove an ice pick into his ear, causing a fatal wound into the cervical spinal cord. His body was discarded behind a warehouse close to the Artesia Freeway, with the ice pick still protruding out of his ear. On May 12th, Bonin abducted and murdered a 17-year-old acquaintance, whom he later stated he had decided to kill when he had woken up in the morning because he was just tired of having him around. The body of the acquaintance was also an alleged lover, Lawrence Eugene Sharp. He was discarded behind a Westminster gas station. His body was found on May 18th, and his autopsy revealed that in addition to being bound and sodomized, Sharp had been extensively beaten in the face and the body and strangled with ligature. 1 week after the murder of Sharp on May 19th, Bonin asked Butts to accompany him on a killing. On this occasion, however, Butts reportedly refused to accompany him. So, operating alone, Bonin abducted a 14-year-old Southgate young man named Sean King from a bus stop in Downey and killed him, then discarded his body in Live Oak Canyon in Yucaipa. Bonin then visited Butts' residence and bragged of the killing to his accomplice.
So, real fast, can we... the one thing about Los Angeles and like Orange County is that it's city after city after city after city. So when we're saying he went around to all these places, it really was only like a couple miles where he was going. It wasn't. No, I mean, a lot of it. Some of it's major. Some of it was going all over the place. But then again, like it's going
about a 4-hour radius. We'll just say that.
And you can go. You're going through like what 10, 15, 20 different cities when you do that. Mm-hmm. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that happened with Richard Ramirez when he's killing. He went from Van Nuys to wherever in Los Angeles to Orange County, all this other stuff. He was all over the place. And it sounds like he's going all over California when he's just going through Los Angeles or LA County and Orange County.
Okay, so I'm going to come back here. According to Skunt Logic, you're a piece of shit. Yeah. So I'm a weirdo and I love French toast. I love French toast too.
I like French toast too.
And you're awesome.
You're awesome.
Yeah, exactly, Sandy. Yummy.
Yummy.
Bond and Butts. No, it's Bonin and Butts. Yes, thank you. You're awesome too. I'm a butterball. Yeah, I'm a butterball. I'm okay with it. Now murder. All right, pull your hatchets out.
Yeah, isn't it like
chop ICP?
No, I know it's ICP, but there's a lot of good people on TikTok actually who did some cool stuff with that one.
I have the lollipop that I could do that with.
Oh, the Sidewalker.
Yeah, that song is awesome. Oh, French toast, banana car.
Oh,
come on! Don't do that to a fat kid.
Who was it? Who is it? The Old River Grill that has sourdough pancakes. Amazing.
No, the one that's really good is over
Absolutely
at
amazing.
Huckleberry's. The French toast I got.
I want to go in there to the waitresses and just look at them and be like, "I'll be your Huckleberry."
I'm your Huckleberry.
And they're gonna be like, "I'm calling the cops because you're obviously a sexual predator." I'm like, no, I'm quoting Tombstone.
Well, so Mikey said I want funnel cake. Okay, so he brought me this like cronut thing that was so good.
Oh, it's the chocolate crundle.
The crundle. It's
No,
crundy.
Chocolate crundy.
I don't want to eat a grundle. Okay.
Crundle. I didn't say crundle. It's a spot between your taint that we took out and we put chocolate all
Powdered
over.
sugar. Damn right. God, guys, I'm too fat to be this hungry. All right.
A comment by Beth I wanted to get to real fast. Scroll up.
Which one?
No, not the French toast one. There's another one. Right there.
I think that they should do the same thing they did to them poor boys.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The thing with Willem
Dafoe?
Not Willem Dafoe, William Bonin, there was no way you're going to. That was the bitter.
They're really good.
Sourdough pancakes are amazing. It was one of those things where you couldn't exactly do this stuff to him because one, he was a actually badass Vietnam vet and knew what he was doing. Oh, cannolis are amazing. I fucking love cannolis. Two, when every time he went to jail, they had to actually separate him from the gin pot because he was the one who was doing the raping. Like, that's literally like the aggression that the guy had.
Oh, yeah. So let's get going here. So 90 days after the murder of King on May 28th, Bonin invited an 18-year-old homeless drifter named James Michael Monroe to move into the apartment that he shared with his mother and older brother, but only in exchange for sex. Monroe was a runaway from St. Clair, Michigan, who had been evicted from his family's home in early 1980. Monroe had planned on meeting a friend in California, but gradually ended up on the streets. By May 1980, he had been working as a male prostitute in Hollywood for several weeks. While at the Angel Street residence, Monroe, a bisexual who preferred sexual relation with females, began a consensual sexual relationship with Bonin. He also accepted a subsequent offer of employment at the Montebello delivery firm where Bonin worked, and was allowed by Bonin to drive his van on occasion. Monroe later described his initial impression of Bonin as being a good guy, just really normal. Although on the evening of June 1st, Bonin abruptly informed Monroe that he wanted the two of them to abduct, rape, and kill a teenage hitchhiker.
Andy has kettle corn. Sorry. Which kettle corn do you have?
If we were all together here where I live, we'd be heading to IHOP or Denny's. Hell yeah, we would. Oh, you know what I really want?
IHOP. We actually, the first night we were together, we had IHOP the next morning, and it was amazing. And then we went to a dark old cemetery. What?
Nothing.
Okay.
Anyway, so by early 1980, the murders committed by Bonin and his accomplices were receiving considerable media attention and a reward totaling $50,000 for information. This is 1980, by the way. Mm-hmm. $50,000 for information leading to the conviction of the perpetrator or perpetrators had been offered by leading gay rights activists. Bonin avidly followed news media reports pertaining to his crimes and collected the newspaper clippings, documenting his own manhunt.
So 50,000 at the time was actually roughly like 250,000 now.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's
hey,
huge. Hey,
how are you?
How are you doing?
Yeah, that is a lot of money.
Yeah.
We go to Del Taco all the time. It's originally from Barstow.
Barstow, California.
I love their burgers.
So actually, I was talking to our mother behind the scenes, and we were talking about how she was telling us how all the Del Tacos in Georgia got bought up by Taco Bell, and I didn't think of it until right now until we drove by one of the ones by our house, and it got bought up by another place. I was like, oh, are they going out of business soon?
Well, so okay, having by this stage determined a definitive link between many of the murders committed within the previous year, investigators from the various jurisdictions where victims had been abducted or discovered had themselves begun sharing information in their collective hunt for the perpetrator. 6 officers from 3 of the jurisdictions in which the Freeway Killer had most regularly either abducted or deposited the bodies of his victims formed a task force dedicated to the apprehension of the suspect or suspects who, as one of the officers upon this assembled task force later recalled, was striking at an average rate of once every 2 weeks in the spring of 1980. By May 1980, Pug had, or Poe,
I actually think it is Pug.
it might be Pug, Poe,
I don't think it's
know.
Poe. It's Pugh. If anybody knows what
Poe,
Pugh put together, it might be Pug because I think he might be
Pug, I don't know. So this guy had been arrested for auto theft and was housed at the Los Padrinos Juvenile Courthouse. On May 29th, he overheard the details of the ongoing murders on a local radio broadcast and confided in a counselor his recognition of the perpetrator's modus operandi as being that described to him by Bonin 2 months prior. This counselor reported his suspicions to the police, who in turn relayed the information to the LA Police Department, LAPD.
Joey said it right there. It's Pew.
Pew. That makes more sense.
Thank you, Joey.
Thank you. So he had actually relayed the information to LAPD homicide sergeant named John St. John. His name is fucking John St. John. Okay.
Is he a porn star?
Yeah, he should be.
That's a porn star's name.
Upon hearing the confidential tip from the counselor, St. John conducted an extensive interview with Pew. I was saying his name wrong this entire show.
I know. I kept thinking.
I knew it was wrong. I just couldn't figure out what it was. So although Pew withheld the fact that he had actually accompanied Bonin on one of his murders, the information he provided led St. John to deduce that Bonin may have indeed been the Freeway Killer. McVicker had also contacted authorities by this time to report his suspicions that Bonin may be the perpetrator. His suspicions were not dismissed, but regarded as one of many public tips to be investigated. A police investigation into Bonin's background revealed his extensive history of convictions for sexually assaulting teenage boys. St. John assigned a surveillance team to monitor Bonin's movements. The surveillance of Bonin began the evening of June 2nd, 1980.
I think what happened with Pew is he heard what was going on and he started putting two and two together and he's like, oh shit, I'm an accomplice. I better get ahead of this.
Yeah, basically.
And that's when he started giving information out. But he didn't give all the information out. But he was like...
He later did.
Yeah. No, he later did. But at this time, he wasn't giving all the information out. And that's when he was like, okay, I don't want to go to jail for... Or at least I don't want to get the death penalty here,
Mm-hmm. So, the murder of Stephen Wells. On June 2nd, the same day as the police surveillance began, Bonin, accompanied by Monroe, encountered an 18-year-old print shop worker named Stephen J. Wells standing at a bus stop in on El Segundo Boulevard. Bonin and Monroe enticed the youth into the van. Upon learning Wells was bisexual, Bonin persuaded him to accompany him to his apartment on the promise that he'd be paid $200 if they were able to be bound prior to engaging in, or if he was allowed to be bound prior to engaging in sexual intercourse. At Bonin's apartment, Wells was then bound, raped, beaten all over his face and torso, then informed that he was about to be murdered before he was strangled to death with his own t-shirt.
The thing with his neighbors, and the one thing I actually read about, his neighbors heard a lot of stuff going on here, and they just turned a blind eye because they basically said it was just the queer couple doing whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
And I'm using language that they actually use there. It was like, it's not our business. It was like, dude, it is actually your business. You live in an apartment complex. You hear people being tortured. Call the fucking cops.
They don't care.
Yeah, they didn't care because it had nothing to do. It was just, to them, it was just a couple of people who are into same sex and all that stuff. And they're like, whatever, it's not our business. It's not our business.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I had to get that. It was killing me.
You're fine.
I forgot where I was. What now? Okay, so Bonin then placed Stephen Wells' body, inside a cardboard box, which he and Monroe then carried to his van. The pair then drove to the residence of Butts, whom Bonin first invited to view Wells' body with enticement. We got it in the van. It's a good one. Come on out and see it.
Jesus
According to
Christ,
Monroe,
man.
Upon viewing the body, Butts replied, "Oh, you got another one," before Bonin asked for advice as to how to dispose it. At Bonin's subsequent trial, Monroe recalled Butts' response. Try gas station, or where, I don't know which. We dumped the last one.
Monroe
also later testified that Butts had actively dissuaded Bonin from discarding the young man's body in the nearby canyons due to the late hour. Wells' body was instead discarded behind a unused Huntington Beach gas station where it was found 5 days later.
Again, not to compare Kemper to him, but if there is anything to take from Kemper, at least didn't he did throw the bodies away like it was nothing and hid heads or buried heads in his mother's yard. It is pretty messed up, but it's almost like at least he understood, let's throw them out in the woods and stuff like that. Let's take the time to get them away from everything. And then here's these people. They literally are like looking at this, like they're not looking at them as people. They're literally looking at them as like things.
Yeah.
How do we get rid of this thing that's going to stink up everything real fast? And it's just, dear God, Bonin is like just pure evil.
So after...
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry.
No.
I'm trying to get us going here. We have a lot left.
I know.
So after 9 days of surveillance on June 11th, 1980, police observed Bonin driving in a seemingly random manner throughout Hollywood, unsuccessfully attempting to lure 5 separate teenage boys into his van before successfully luring one into his van. The police followed Bonin until his van parked in a desolate parking lot close to the Hollywood Freeway, then discreetly approached the vehicle. Upon hearing muffled screams and banging sounds emitting from the inside the van, the plainclothed officers forced their way into the vehicle, discovering Bonin in the act of raping a 17-year-old Orange County runaway named Harold Eugene Tate, whom he had handcuffed and bound.
The police were on top of this. When it finally came down to it, the police knew what was going on, and they fucking did their job really well.
Initially charged with rape of a minor and held on suspicion of the murder of Miranda, Bonin was detained in lieu of $250,000 bond. His girlfriend subsequently notified his boss of the arrest, causing Monroe, already apprehensive at Bonin's absence from work, to become frantic. The following day, Monroe stole Bonin's car and fled to Michigan. Inside Bonin's van, investigators discovered numerous artifacts attesting to his culpability in the Freeway Killer murders. These items included various restraining devices, including lengths of nylon cord, an assortment of knives, a tire iron, and household implements such as pliers and coat hangers. Furthermore, the interior of Bonin's van and sections of his home were extensively bloodstained, and the inner handles from the passenger side and rear doors of his vehicle had been removed in an obvious effort to prevent victims from escaping the vehicle. Inside the glove box, investigators also discovered a scrapbook of newspaper clippings related to the murders. So we're going to get into confession now.
The crazy thing about all this is like, Mark said, seriously, stay away from vans. Nothing good happens. Nothing good happens with a van involved. You know what? It's that, and stay away from people who the first thing they say when you're talking about sex with them, do you like to be tied up before anything happens? Seriously.
The bodies of chaos are coming for you. The bodies of chaos are coming for you.
This is because the bunnies of chaos got Mikey the other day. No, but it's the first thing you always talk to people about, like if they're into sex with him.
Not legal. They would tell them.
What?
Anybody who has died in any place that you were going to rent or buy has to be disclosed.
Well, no, that we don't know Canadian law.
No, I'm talking about here.
Oh, in California, no, they do disclose the disclosure of deaths in a place actually started in the early 2000s. Actually, prior to that, I think they were able to get away with not telling you if people died there.
Oh.
But now they have to let you know that if someone died, you might be dealing with their spirit for the rest of their life, or you might be, do whatever you got to do with them.
All right, so let's get into the confession.
Hey.
So, although initially protesting his innocence in any of the murders,
they're always innocent.
Bonin later confessed his guilt to John St. John after reading an impassioned letter from the mother of King, imploring him to reveal the location of her son's body. Over the course of several evenings, Bonin then confessed to abducting, raping, and killing 21 boys and young men. He expressed no remorse for his actions, but he did demonstrate extreme embarrassment and regret over having been caught. Bonin stated to authorities that his primary accomplice in the murders had been Butts, with Miley and Monroe being active accomplices in other murders. Bonin later told one reporter who asked him what he would be doing if he were still at large. He said, "I'd still be killing. I couldn't stop killing. It got easier with each one we did." Bonin was physically linked to many of the murders by blood and semen stains and numerous distinctive green triskelion
So he put
shaped. So basically, this is swirl, but it's like the 3-sided swirl.
well, it's a 3-sided swirl. It's the what is it? The crop circles.
Triskelion.
I don't know. Can we save that real fast?
It's triple spiral.
Whatever. Like, if you ever seen crop circles, that's the stuff he would put on their bodies. Yeah.
Okay, let me do this real fast.
Yeah, we're doing this real fast. Sorry, we got to show you this. I did not know this fact. I didn't know this at all, actually. That he would actually put this on there.
This was his calling card.
Or stuff. It was similar to this.
It was this.
Was it this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was basically his calling card that he would do on people.
You want to know why people think that the CIA had something to do with serial killers in like throughout the 60s and the 70s and 80s? Is shit like that.
Yeah.
Right
okay.
there.
So no. Sorry, I'm totally wrong. He did not do that on there.
Oh, he didn't.
It was the carpet that would do that on them.
Oh, it was the carpet.
Yeah,
the shag carpet. I'm sorry.
It was doing that kind of shape
okay.
on their bodies, and so he wasn't exactly putting it on them, but it was getting put on them by them laying down.
I knew that was kind of weird. Like I said, was like I've read a lot about this. I did not know that.
So it was proven to be exactly the carpeting that was in the van. So, furthermore, upon 3 victims' bodies, investigators had discovered hair samples, which had proven to be an exact match to Bonin. Medical evidence also revealed that 6 of the murders for which Bonin was charged were committed by a unique windlass strangulation method, which was referred to by the prosecutor at Bonin's LA County trial as a signature trademark. Initially arraigned for the murder of Grabs on 25th. On July 25th. By July 29th, Bonin had been charged with an additional 15 murders to which he had confessed, and upon which the prosecution believed they had sufficient evidence to obtain a conviction. In addition to the 16 murder indictments, Bonin was also charged with 11 counts of robbery, 1 count of sodomy, and 1 count of mayhem. He was held without bond. And on August 8th, these charges were formally submitted against him. 3 days later, in accordance with the Penal Code Section 987, Bonin, at this stage without legal representation, was appointed an attorney named Earl Hansen to act as his legal representation. Hansen remained Bonin's attorney until October of 81, when, at Bonin's request, he was replaced by William Charvet and Tracy Stewart.
So the one thing when they say mayhem, it's actually like mayhem is actually going around and like not just causing issues, it's actually going around and causing malicious violence, stuff like that, even rape and stuff like that. That's what they got him on. And like they were literally like, oh, no, we're gonna throw the book at this guy. We have to keep him in there regardless, because we know if we can't get him on these convictions, we're gonna get him on robbery, we're gonna get him all this other stuff, and we're gonna put him in jail for at least 20-30 years. You know?
Hi, Papa Drew Reyes.
Hey, Baba Drew Reyes.
All right, so let's see.
And
one overdue library book. That'll always get you.
It does, actually. I think they did do that one time, didn't they? Or was that like a Simpsons
know.
reference?
I think that's Simpsons. Anyway, so based on Bonin's confession, police obtained a warrant authorizing a search of Butt's Lakewood property on the same date as Bonin's initial arraignment. This July 25th search uncovered evidence linking Butts to several of the murders to which Bonin had already confessed, and Butts was brought before a municipal court on July 29th, charged with accompanying Bonin on 6 murders committed between August 79 and April 80. He was also charged with 3 counts of robbery. In a press statement relating to the police investigation into the murders issued on this date, the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department stated Bonin and Butts are believed to be responsible for the kidnapping, torture, and murder of at least 21 young males between May 1979 and June 1980, before adding that 5 further charges would likely be filed against the men in Orange County. Despite initially proclaiming his innocence, Butts confessed to having accompanied Bonin upon each of the murder forays listed in each of the charges against him, and to have actively participated in sexual abuse of several victims. In his confession, Butts claimed to have participated in the murders primarily out of fear, claiming it was either go or become the next victim.
Oh, bullshit, dude.
Adding he only found the courage to confess upon learning Bonin was in custody.
Oh,
Butts was adamant he had only a limited role in the actual torture of the victims, but confessed to actively participating in torturing of one victim.
You were jumping up and down on someone's chest several different times, or several different people's chests. Actually,
That was Miley.
It
That wasn't him. That was Miley.
Oh, Miley. I'm sorry.
That's what I was saying. That was
I'm getting confused. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, discussing the actual murder forays, Butts claimed that upon successfully luring a victim into the van, he typically drove in an aimless manner, as Bonin abused and tortured his victims in the rear of the van, then stopped the vehicle in order to assist in restraining the victim as Bonin escalated the torture. When asked as to why some victims had been subjected to more extensive blunt force trauma than others, Butts stated that in many instances, Bonin would escalate the level of beatings to which he subjected his victim if they resisted his sexual advances. Butts was brought before Orange County Municipal Court Judge Richard Orozco on on November 14th, 1980. On this day, he was formally charged with participating in 3 further murders committed in this county. His trial was scheduled for July 27th, 1981.
I was only 7 months old at the time. No, I'm sorry, 6 months. I was barely over 6 months old at the time.
So on July 31st, Monroe was arrested in his hometown of Port Huron, Michigan. He was extradited to California and charged with the murder of Wells. Monroe pleaded innocent to all charges against him on August 14th. On August 22nd, Miley, at this point he was 19, was arrested in Texas and subsequently charged by California authorities with the murders of Miranda and Maccabee. Miley was arrested after having confessed to his culpability in the Miranda and Maccabee murders in a recorded phone call conversation with his friend, thus substantiating Bonin's earlier confession. He initially pled innocent to 2 charges of first-degree murder on December 18th, but pled guilty to 2 separate pretrial hearings, or at 2 separate pretrial hearings in May of 81. Preliminary hearings. At a preliminary hearing held in Los Angeles County before Los Angeles County Superior Court Judge Julius Leatham on January 2nd, 1981, Bonin formally pled his innocence for 14 first-degree murder charges and numerous counts of sodomy, robbery, and mayhem. In 11 of those indictments, a felony murder robbery special circumstance was alleged. Bonin was ordered to return to court on January 7th for pretrial motions at the formal setting of a trial date, which was eventually set for October 19th. On the same date, January 2nd, that's not the same date. Oh, this one, preliminary hearings. Yes. Yep. January 2nd, Butts was arraigned on 5 counts of murder in addition to 3 counts of robbery. The date of Butts' formal plea was delayed by Judge Julius Leatham until January 7th. 4 days after his formal plea before Judge Leatham, Butts committed suicide by hanging himself with a towel in his cell.
Good for him. That's what he deserved.
Yep. And let's see. A subsequent coroner's investigation revealed Butts had unsuccessfully attempted to take his own life at least 4 different times prior to his arrest. His attorney, Joe Ingber, theorized that Butts' depressive state had been magnified by the impending release of transcripts of his client's testimony at the preliminary hearing, in which Butts had graphically described the torture the victim had endured prior to the murder. Prior to Bonin's impending trial, Miley and Monroe had agreed to testify against him at the trial in exchange for being spared the death penalty, with Deputy District Attorney Sterling Norris also agreeing to seek the dismissal of additional charges of sodomy and robbery filed against Monroe if he honored his agreement to testify. In the case of Miley, Norris agreed to accept 2 separate pleas of guilty to first-degree murder in exchange for 2 consecutive sentences of life imprisonment with a possibility of parole after 25 years. If Miley agreed to testify against Bonin at the trials. Prior to his suicide, Butts never formally agreed to either testify against Bonin or accept any form of plea bargain. All right, so
I think that's pretty much it.
I'm going to go into death row.
Yeah.
So Bonin was to remain incarcerated on death row for 14 years in San Quentin, awaiting execution in the gas chamber. In his years on death row, he undertook painting and writing as hobbies, and received several minor awards for his artwork.
It's insane.
And his short stories and his poems. He also befriended serial killers Lawrence Bittaker, Randy Kraft, and Douglas Clark, with whom he occasionally played bridge.
And
Bonin,
they constantly got stuck in their fantasies talking about him with each other.
Oh yeah.
These guys were able, this is the issue right here. These guys were able to relive their fucking lives while living on like death row for 20 odd years. Well, he did 14, but most of them in California. It's like, dude, what the, you have these guys dead to rights.
So, Bonin also corresponded with numerous individuals, including the mother of some of his victims. In the correspondence exchanged with his victims' relatives, Bonin never expressed any regret or remorse for having murdered their sons. On one occasion, Bonin informed the mother of Sean King that her son had been his favorite victim because he was such a screamer. He was able to send letters to them. I think they actually did eventually stop it. Yeah, well, he also contended that to his defense attorney, in addition to several people with whom he corresponded, that Butts had been the actual ringleader behind the murders, and that he had simply been Butts' accomplice. But that's not true. These claims would be refuted by Norris, the prosecutor at Bonin's Los Angeles County murder trial, who recollected shortly after Bonin's execution, he was the leader, and he chose weak people that he could use. So the cops actually did their job, right? They did their job perfectly. They did it fine, and they got him off the streets. The system, though, on the other hand, didn't really do their job. They basically let him. He should have been put to death almost. After was it 3 appeals? Should have been put to death after that. He lived on death row for 14 years and was able to keep torturing his victim's family. Yeah. So the method of Bonin's execution was supervised. Babe, I did it on purpose. Oh. I was looking at that. Oh, sorry. Was superseded by lethal injection by the state of California in 1992, following the execution of Robert Alton Harris, the first inmate in California, or that California had executed since 1967. Harris had exhibited evident symptoms of discomfort for up to 4 minutes throughout his 15-minute execution in the gas chamber. These symptoms had included convulsions. As such, the state of California opted to use lethal injection as an alternate method of execution to the gas chamber, branding the gas chamber as cruel and unusual form of execution. I'm sorry, they deserve that. I'm sorry, yeah, cruel and unusual. It's exactly what they deserved. Bonin tortured his victims for almost days. And they're like, "Oh my God, we can't put him to death because he might suffer for a minute." No, they could put him to death. No, I'm couldn't do it in the gas chamber. I'm saying with the gas chamber or whatnot, and now you have that. Now, I'm sorry, I'm going off. Bonin was the first prisoner to be executed in California with lethal injection. So I'm not even going to get into his appeals and being bipolar and all that bullshit that he has, and we're just going to end it with this: Bonin was executed by lethal injection inside the gas chamber at San Quentin State Prison on February 23rd, 1996. He was the first person to be executed by lethal injection in the history of California, and his execution occurred 14 years after his first death sentence had been imposed. In a final interview given to a local radio station less than 24 hours before he was executed, Bonin claimed that he had made peace with the fact that he was about to die. He added that his only major regret in life is that he had not pursued his teenage passion of bowling long enough to have turned professional. When asked whether there was anything he had to say to the families of the victims, he said, "They feel my death will bring closure, but that's not the case. They're going to find out."
No, you took their kids.
He further expressed his disagreement with the state's decision to execute him, stating, "A lot of people believe I should die for what I've done. I don't agree." Of course you don't, dumbass.
Well,
he denied any responsibility for his actions, claiming that his urge to kill was too strong to resist, before expressing his hope that the Lord will understand me and know I couldn't help what I did. So, at 6 p.m. on the day that he was executed, Bonin was moved from his cell to a death watch cell, where he ordered his last meal: 2 large pizzas, 3 pints of ice cream, and 3 6-packs of Coke. His final hours were spent in the company of 5 individuals whom he had chosen for this occasion. This included his attorney, a chaplain, and prospective biographer. Each later stated that Bonin seemed resigned to his fate. His attorney also added that he had not detected any remorse in his client. So at 11:45 p.m., Bonin was escorted from his holding cell into the execution chamber. In his final statement given to the prison warden 1 hour prior to his scheduled execution at midnight, Bonin again expressed no remorse for his crimes and left a note that stated, "I feel the death penalty is not an answer to the problems at hand. I feel it sends the wrong message to the people of this country. Young people act as they see other people acting instead of as people tell them to act. I would advise that when a person has a thought of doing anything serious against the law, that before they did, they should go to a quiet place and think about it seriously." Whatever, bro.
Well, I do get that he had trauma and he had lesions on his frontal lobe and stuff like that. Like, so he did have impulse control issues.
Yeah,
and stuff
I
like
get that.
I get that. But the fact that he ditched bodies, tried to get him away from it, showed that he knew what he was doing was wrong.
He knew exactly what he was doing was wrong.
Now you have someone like Richard Chase, who, the Vampire of Sacramento, who didn't care about hiding bodies, didn't care about any of that shit. He just did what he did. He was completely schizophrenic and didn't understand his actions.
Yeah.
You know? So
Bonin was pronounced dead at 12:13 a.m. He was 49 at the time of his execution. None of Bonin's relatives chose to witness his execution, although the event was witnessed by several relatives of his victims, many of whom wept and embraced when his death was finally confirmed. According to several of these witnesses, Bonin's execution passed without complications, and he was heavily sedated throughout the latter stages of the procedure. He should not have been, because I know that the chemicals that they use burn.
Well,
that's what they're saying, that they burn all throughout your body, and he should have had to experience that. So on this subject, the governor at the time, Pete Wilson, had rejected a submitted plea for clemency from Bonin's attorney 3 days prior to the execution, referred to Bonin as the poster boy for capital punishment, before adding that California's method of execution ensures his death was infinitely more pleasant than that endured by his victims.
Thank you. Pete Wilson was
so
okay.
I am going to list his victims, and then we're going to be done.
Real fast. Let's look at the cost here. A 223 round or 5.56 is inexpensive.
Yeah, but
after your 3 appeals and after all this stuff, and I do have issue with the death penalty. I do myself. But this person was a brutal fucking rapist who needed to be put out of his fucking misery. Put down. Sorry.
All right. So, Freeway Killer victims, and then we are done.
Yep.
So, Thomas Glenn Lundgren, he was 13. This is May 28th, 1979. Mark Dwayne Shelton, 17, August 4th, 1979. Marcus Alexander Grabs, 17, August 5th, 1979. Donald Ray Hayden, 15, August 27th, 1979. David Louis Murillo, 17, September 9th, 1979. Robert Christopher Wirostek, 18, September 17th, 1979. John Doe, this is the one that they were saying he was guessed to be around 19 to 25, but Bonin stated he was probably 23. He was murdered November 1st, 1979.
They brutalized so much that they couldn't even recognize, even after they found him, all their stuff.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Frank Dennis Fox, 17, November 30th, 1979. John Frederick Kilpatrick, age 15, December 10th, 1979. Michael Francis McDonald, age 16, January 1st, 1980. Charles Dempster Miranda, age 15, February 3rd, 1980. James Michael Maccabee, age 12, February 3rd, 1980. Ronald Craig Gatlin, age 18, March 14th, 1980. Glenn Norman Barker, age 14, March 21st, 1980. Russell Dwayne Rue, age 15, March 21st, 1980. Harry Todd Turner, age 15, March 24th, 1980. Stephen John Wood, age 16, April 10th, 1980. Darren Lee Kendrick, age 19, April 29th, 1980. Lawrence Eugene Sharp, age 17, May 12th, 1980. Sean Page King, age 14, May 19th, 1980. Stephen J. Wells, June 2nd, 1980.
Yeah, he was 18.
And that was he was 18. That was the day that, they didn't save him.
No, they did. No, it was the other one they did save. There was one right after him. That's the one when they came in on it. This is the one where
it was the same day they started surveillance.
They started surveillance on him this day, but they didn't catch this one. It was they walked up a few days later in plain clothes and they caught the other guy and they saved him.
No, it was the same day. June 2nd was the same day that they
might
started surveillance.
Well, they might be reading this one off as he's a victim, but he did live. They saved his life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. We know that this was a longer episode, and a brutal one.
Friday, real fast.
Friday, we're going to talk about Karla Homolka.
We're going to talk about Karla Homolka.
But
there might be a small chance we don't have internet where we're going.
Yeah.
Because there is going to be snow and everything like that.
Yeah. So if we don't go live on Friday, we will just push it another week.
Yep. And then we'll be back
Sunday. And we're going to start talking about cults on Sunday.
Yeah. And we're driving back Friday night or Saturday night. I'm sorry. And Saturday, but we won't be back till like nighttime.
Afternoon.
We will be back till nighttime. Mm-hmm. And then Monday, we'll have before we're going to go on at 8:00 Eastern time. And
I'm just not moving. I'm just going to let her do it.
We're going to and we'll have Siren Von Wicked on.
Mm-hmm. We're going to have Siren Von Wicked, and we may be playing a new video. But if not, you're also going to meet some of her models.
And then you also then after us, we'll have Steve the Cat.
That's before us. No, after us.
After us.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So thank you guys for all joining us tonight. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I know.
Yay.
Thank you so much, guys. We really appreciate it. Have a wonderful day or night. Stay safe out there. And you know what? I never play a P13 ad. Bye.
The Psycho Mantis, coming to you live from Psycho Mantium 13. Join us here throughout the week for all things in audio, visual, and literary content. You can also find us on the World Wide Web at psychomantium13.com. Join Psychomantium 13 and enter the weird.